All right, welcome back to episode 3 of Grandma Peggy's Journals. So we ended 1977 in the last video, and one picture that I don't think I asked for is if anybody has a picture of Clint from that Christmas of 1977 when he got that gift from Grandma of his chaps and his stick horse, and that he was not overly impressed with. I would love to see a picture of that. So if anyone has any pictures from December 25th of 1977, send them my way. That would be awesome. All right, well, we are going to jump into 1978, the year some babies were born and Grandma and Grandpa hit a special anniversary. So we're going to jump into that. All right, January 1978. The new year found many things for us to start the new year. Dentist appointments were set up for the first few weeks. Our baby chicks were born, and our neighbor, Janet Crosby, had her third boy on the 20th. Our grandson, Clint, had his 4th birthday party at the park in North Phoenix. Barbara, our niece, had a baby boy on January 24th named Ryan Henderson. February 1978. This month brought new babies in the family. Justin William Hargrave, our 3rd grandson, was born just one day after Alec's stepdad's birthday. Son to Jim and Jeanette, he was born February 10th, 1978. So they have a new grandson, 3rd boy for my Uncle Jim and Aunt Jeanette. All right, May 1978. May was very special. A special anniversary party had been planned by our 2 daughters, Lori and Jeanette. It was our 25th wedding anniversary. The party was given on the 6th. Our anniversary was on the 9th. Almost everyone on both sides of the family were there, and friends that we had not seen in years came. It was a nice get-together, and we really enjoyed it. May 18th was a special luncheon served to the Lehigh 1st and 2nd Ward Relief Society presidencies at the home of Jean Porter, who had just been put in as stake president. And her counselors were Marlene Opil and Verna Randall. The luncheon was great, and the love and friendship from these sisters were so special. Our day was truly complete. All right, June 1978. June 1st was a celebration of our friends Jack and Pat Miller's 25th anniversary. We visited them at their daughter's home and met with several friends there. On June 14th, our niece Valerie Upchurch and her husband had a housewarming for their new home. June 9th was probably one of the greatest days the church has known. The Lord has revealed to our prophet Spencer W. Kimball that all men worthy to hold the priesthood can now receive that blessing. I guess everyone had something to say about it, but our 4-year-old grandson Clint told it to us like this. Grandma, the prophet had a revelation, and now all the Chinese kids can go to primary. He was straightened out on the right thing. We all rejoiced and were grateful for that blessing. We had traveled to Bowie that morning and then on to Elfrida. So that is another thing I love about Grandma's journals is she writes like historic things that happened, whether in the church or in our country. And it's just super cool to like read about those things in real time. So we know in 1978 was the year that all Black people were able to hold the priesthood. Previous to that, they were not. And I'm not going to get into all that. You can go do your research on that. But, that's something we know. And then it's just really cool to like read about it in like real time in Grandma's journal. So I thought that was super, super awesome. And I love Clint's take on it. So funny. All right. June 12th, 1978, Monday. For a long time, Alec and I talked of owning the house and 20 acres, joining the 50 acres we already had down in Elfrida. Today we went to talk to Mrs. Woodward, who owns the property. She had an asking price of $50,000 and we had a buying price of $46,000. She accepted and made it quite easy for us to purchase the property. With $5,000 down and $1,000 a year, plus interest, and she would pay the first $1,000 and live in the home for 1 year. We are looking forward to moving there in the next year or so. We talk and dream, and yes, the move is not too far off in the future, and we will soon know what is in store for us. So I also thought that was like a cool entry because later in my life, I lived in that house that they purchased that day. So I thought that was pretty cool. I mean, at least I'm pretty sure it's the same house. I think it's the only one that they owned down there at that time. So if I'm wrong, you can correct me. But I'm pretty sure that's a house I lived in later in life. Okay, June 21st, 1978. A few sisters from the Relief Society went to Bishop Judd's house and helped quilt a quilt for May Barney, who is leaving our ward. Then I hurried home to make Alec lunch because I had to go to work at the bridal shop, which I worked 2 half days a week, a job I really enjoy. Hazel Motes is my boss and has been for almost 9 years. I got off work late around 6 p.m., hurried home to go to a young adult relief society where I demonstrated jam making. When I got home, Lavere, Taylor, again, I'm sorry with names if I am butchering some of these names, but had called and I was to visit a family to check on their financial means. It was 11 o'clock by the time I got home, but my day was full and I was satisfied and the Lord's work had been done. July 4th, 1978. This July was so different from the ones I had known as a child growing up. Every 4th, we received a new cap pistol with a box of caps, all our very own. Making corrections here. Then, on the morning of the 4th, you tried to beat everyone else out of bed and shoot your caps off first. Then we had a big breakfast. Then everyone helped get a picnic basket together and head for the river, the Verde River, or one of the lakes before sundown. And before sundown, you headed home to watch fireworks. This July was much more quiet with Alec gone to work and Lori had just moved out a few days prior. The house was empty and extremely quiet. I had decided to paint the inside of the house. Many thoughts of my sweet husband and my children ran through my mind. How special I felt at being a child of God and that He had blessed me with the sweet family I have. I have many things to be thankful for. Our son-in-law had joined the church in March. Our children were all well and healthy, and our son was giving his service to the Lord in the mission field. I had prepared 3 different kinds of salad and made homemade ice cream to celebrate the 4th. I could go for some homemade ice cream right now. It seemed it would be a quiet 4th until my sweet mother-in-law called and said they were on their way over. Alec arrived home early and we ate and then all went and climbed on the cattle trailer to watch some colorful fireworks bursting from the sky. I will apologize now because sometimes I'm reading these and there's nothing super emotional about that, but it just touches me. So, if you hear my voice crack or, I get the sniffles, just that's life. That's me. All right, July 10th, 1978, Tuesday. Alec and I made a trip to Elfrida to see about getting the house and 20 acres. We went to Douglas with Nellie Woodward to sign the papers. July 13th. Ruth and I followed Alec and Granddad to Wilcox to the auction, and from there, Ruth and I went to Bowie to visit Jeanette, our daughter. All was fine, and the boys were full of energy as always. We helped Jeanette put up some of her apples, then went back to Elfrida. July 14th. We went down to help Nellie mow the grass and chop a few weeds. We worked all afternoon and really enjoyed cleaning up the place. It made us just a little more excited to move down. July 19th. We had been home about a week from Elfrida when girls' camp in Pine was Wednesday the 19th. They had asked me to be camp nurse. I couldn't believe it. I had been a cabin mother several times. I had been JC mommy. I had been camp cook, but never played nurse before. Before I left, Alec and I had prayer as usual, but he must have sensed my insecurity as a nurse. He asked the Lord to bless me and bless those at camp, that there would not be a lot of sickness or problems that I could not handle. The kids were great and their attitudes were fantastic. Hardly any sickness. Mostly bee stings because the bees were thick. a few sore throats, and I spent most of my time taking walks or helping in the kitchen. It was enjoyable and fun to go, but the best part is always coming back home. All right, July 11th, 1978. It was our son's 21st birthday, and we sent him a special tape with the whole family singing happy birthday and everyone talking to him. Just a reminder, their son Steve, my dad, is on his mission right now, so that's why he's not home. Jim and Jeanette had come from Bowie, and Doc and Blanche had come later in the day. So Doc is Grandma Blanche's husband. He was known as Doc. That wasn't his actual name, but he's known as Doc. So Doc and Blanche are Grandpa Alec's mom and stepdad. So they had come later in the day. So everyone had time on the tape. Even Grandma Ruth's grandson, who had served a mission earlier, was here. His name is Danny Carroll. Is Carroll the right way you say their last names? If anyone needs to correct me on that, I'm pretty sure it is, but just let me know. Anyways, on March 17th, 1978, we received a letter from Steve and also a tape saying that he would be home September 6th on a Wednesday. I really had mixed emotions. Mothers have a tendency to favor their sons, and I guess I know when he comes home, he will not be mine to keep close and have such sweet opportunities together. His letters every week mean so much. Although I realize many other important events will take place in his life, and he will still be mine to share special moments and times. It is hard to have them leave the nest, but he left in 1976 as a teenage boy, and I do realize he will be coming home a grown man. I hope that while he was in our keeping, we gave him deep roots, and I hope we can give him the wings to fly. Obviously, with that being my dad, it touches a little closer to home for me. And also because my sister, Chelsea, her oldest son is preparing for his mission right now, and he will leave later this year. And so there's been a lot of talk about, a lot of his lasts at home and, the last time of him being a kid with them. And so that just that really hits home right now with me. But I love that my dad served a mission and had that opportunity. All right, August 20th, 1978, Sunday. Alec very seldom gets to attend his meetings, but today he was able to attend all of them. I love to walk with him to church and know we are both going to worship together and renew our covenants so we can work together in the Lord's work and be together in the eternities. Grandpa worked a lot of Sundays, so it was always special when he got to go to church with Grandma. September 6th, 1978. The day my dad is due home. Steve was due home this morning at 11:45. As Alec and I were driving to meet the plane, many thoughts came to me. One thought was how close Steve had been to us while he was gone, because it did not seem like the 2 long years I thought it would be, and the longing and heartache of having him gone was never there. I guess because I knew of the growth that he would be making, and because I knew Heavenly Father was with him while he was gone. We never thought to check and see if the plane was early or late, and while we were waiting in the lobby for Lori and Doc and Blanche, a voice had come from behind me saying, "Mom, it's your little boy from Willimantic." The plane had come in early. This was my missionary, white pants, vest and coat, and a small cap and sunglasses. He looked more like Elton John getting ready to go on stage for a performance. But he did look good, a little older, not much, but the same old Steve. He knew we would be looking for a typical missionary, but he is not a typical kid. We are going to try to surprise Lori, but she spotted him the minute she came in the door. That night, we had a few friends and neighbors in to welcome Steve home. He was glad to be here, and we were glad to have him back. That is typical of my dad, so we'll have to definitely find a picture of that to share with everybody. I wish I had one right now to put up here for y'all to see, but I don't. So, oh goodness. All right, continuing on. We'll finish through, maybe? We'll see. We'll see if we get through all of 1978 or not. All right, October 11th, 1978. It had been a little over a month since Steve arrived. We had a big family get-together, and all the family welcomed him home on September 9th. We left on the 14th of September and spent 2 weeks in Elfrida. It was really nice. No phone, no TV. Steve went to Bowie and spent 3 or 4 days with Jim and Jeanette. Then Friday, they all came, except Jim, and went to the little county fair. It was real nice, and our neighbor we bought the house from won lots of ribbons for her fruit and vegetables. We really hated to go home to Mesa. It is such a fast-moving world, and things seem to really slow down in Elfrida. Sunday the 24th, we headed home. Monday, Steve went and worked with Tom Upchurch, Valerie Thompson's husband, for Keith Riggs Plumbing. Him and Tom got along great, and he liked the work. He has decided to go to BYU to school. I know it must be hard to come home and not know where to go next, but I am sure if Steve is prayerful and does those things that are right, he will make it on his own. He seems a little edgy and not ready to put both feet on the ground. I have a feeling he is not here to stay long. Another spoiler alert. Pretty sure my dad never went to BYU. But hey, at least he had, some thoughts of what he was going to do. October 21st. Adam Latimer and Becky and baby were here visiting from Texas. Alan is in the Army, and it's the first time they have been home for almost 3 years. We had a surprise birthday party for Mom, and all the kids and grandkids were there. We had a nice party, and Mom was pleased and surprised. Mom is Mary Latimer. I will put a picture of her up right here. I'm pretty sure I have one. All right, October 27th, 1978. Steve has had a rough time trying to settle down. I guess my mother intuition was right. Steve left tonight, baggage and guitar, to Salt Lake. He says he has plans, but I don't really think he knows what he is doing or where he is going. I hope on his daily journeys he will learn something and it won't be all in vain. October 30th. Alec and I left for Elfrida to spend a few days at the ranch. We stayed in Martin Wendell's trailer. It was really nice. Sorry, typo. It's always good to get away from the hurry life and rest a while. We returned on the 3rd of November. We hadn't heard from Steve as yet. Alec tells me not to worry. He'll be home by Thanksgiving. November 11th. Alec had his 45th birthday. A quiet day, but nice. Alec worked the 3 to 11 shift, so Lori and I fixed a nice dinner, sang happy birthday to him, and had ice cream and cake. I bought him an Indian rug, and Lori bought him a new suitcase to take to the temple. November 22nd. Lori, Alec, and I were going to celebrate Thanksgiving early because Lori and I were going to California for the first Moore reunion. We were trying to cook a little meal, but it seems like everything came out much more than planned. A few minutes before we sat down to eat, a car drove up in the drive. It was Steve, bag and baggage, just in time to get all the extras Lori and I had made. We asked no questions. We all sat down and ate the Thanksgiving dinner the day before Thanksgiving. The next morning, Lori and I left with Tom and Valerie and drove to Lake Isabella, California. We enjoyed the visit and had our Thanksgiving on Friday. When we returned home, Granddad Clark Hunt was in Douglas Hospital with pneumonia. Oof. I had pneumonia last November, and I was in the hospital for 4 days, and it was awful. Sorry, that's me speaking, not Grandma. So Granddad is in the hospital with pneumonia. Alec and I left early next morning for the ranch. All is okay now. It was really hard to leave the ranch because Granddad hates for us to leave. He cried like a baby, and it almost broke my heart. I will really be glad when we can be down there and enjoy his last years together. All right, December 10th, 1978, Sunday. It was my 44th birthday, and I enjoyed the company of my daughter Lori and son Steve as they accompanied me to church. Lori gave me a darling vase that she had made in ceramics class, and Steve gave me an invitation to dinner for 2 at Lori's place. Monday the 11th, Alec and I went to dinner at Lori's. Steve had prepared the whole Chinese dinner and served all of us. Cute menus were made up with Lori's picture on them and Lori's place printed on front. The food was delicious, and I would recommend the cook to anyone. Then we enjoyed a family home evening planned by Steve. Jeanette and Clint called and sang happy birthday to me, and it made my day complete. That's super sweet. December 22nd. The Faraday Christmas party held at Valerie and Tom's were few in number this year, as several from Phoenix were sick and some thought they couldn't get here because of the flood that washed the bridges and crossings out. Steve played Santa Claus and the little kids had lots of fun getting gifts from Santa. Jim and Jeanette and the boys arrived this morning before the Christmas party and stayed till after Christmas. It was nice having them all here for Christmas. Jim and Jeanette stayed with Lori and the kids, Jim and Jeanette stayed with Lori, and the kids all stayed with us. We had our traditional Christmas breakfast. Steve made waffles, Jim cooked eggs, Lori fried bacon, and Jeanette set the table, and I made syrup. Doc and Blanche were here, and they ate breakfast and then journeyed their way to Globe and Coolidge to visit the rest of the family. December 31st, 1978, New Year's Eve. Sunday was a nice day to spend New Year's Eve. After church, we were invited over to Chuck and Marie Miller's for some quiet games and to wait the New Year's in. There was Bishop Corey Gray and his wife Vonda. Both had been real close friends for many years. Roy Shumway and Carmen, and then brother and sister Turley. He is on the High Council. We had a real nice fondue dinner, played some quiet games, and had a real nice evening. These are some of the things we will miss when we move to Elfrida, but there will be other friends and many more nice evenings. There we are, a whole year in 21 minutes. There's some sweet entries in there, and I hope you guys enjoyed listening to them as much as I enjoy reading them. So a couple pictures. I will do this at the end of every episode. Let's see, if anybody has pictures from Justin Hargrave when he was born, Grandma and Grandpa's 25th wedding anniversary, or any time around, the beginning of 1978. Pictures of the ranch or the property down in Elfrida in 78. Pictures of Alan, Becky, and their baby. And pictures from Grandpa's 45th birthday in November of 78. Or Grandma's 44th birthday at Lori's house in December of 78. And any pictures of Valerie and Tom from 1978. So those are the pictures from the entries from that year. If anyone has any of those, feel free to send them my way. And if you're like, how the heck do we send them to you? You can message on any of these or message on the family thread. Or if you have my phone number, I can let you know the best way to send them. So, okay. So that will close out 1978. And then in the next episode, we will move into 79. And we'll probably be able to do that all in one episode as well, which will be super exciting. So enjoy listening.